Good evening. I'm Gregory Morgan, and welcome to Love Talk. Throughout the world, in many, many countries, I'm able to have relationships with people, some of whom I've never physically met, some of whom I may never meet, but with whom we share something in common. And that we share in common is the transformation of people's default way of being, people's way of being that we've inherited from the past. You know, while it's predictable that that will change over time, the transformation of your ground of being means that you are a whole new person in the face of the everyday circumstances that you and conditions of your life, the everyday problems, issues, challenges that you have. They don't just go away because a person experiences a personal transformation. However, many of those challenges just cease to be challenges. They simply no longer matter in the face of a greater perspective, a larger point of view. You know, if you knew that your life had already turned out and that it was going to turn out even better and get better all the time, then the small challenges of every day would seem like welcome opportunities to get things to complete, to get things that call out for a new order, a new way of being, and to actually transform your way of being, transform the circumstances in your life. And here's the thing, when things change, they can always change back. When things change, it's usually more, better, or different of something that was in the past. So things in the past will naturally change in the future, and in the present, things are constantly changing. The book of I Ching, the ancient Chinese oracle, is based on that very law of the universe, is that the universe is constantly shifting and changing, and the laws, and it follows certain inherent laws. And so the oracle of the I Ching, if you've ever heard of it or looked into it, is about a sage who was able to map out and predict the shifting and changing and detect the patterns of the universe. So that was pretty profound, but what I'm telling you is that the universe is constantly changing, and you can count on it to change. So whatever your circumstances are right now, no matter how stuck you are in them, they will change. For the most part, if you don't do something about them, they change for the worse. Some things that if you don't do anything about them, they'll change for the better. But I'm always one for being proactive and causing change to happen in a way that I determine is for the best, for myself, for those around me, and for all, the greater mankind, the greater good of all concerned. Obviously, you cannot make everybody happy all the time, nor should you try to. If you want to make sure that you fail at something, try making everybody happy all the time. You'll definitely fail at that. But if you can bring more fulfillment, more purpose, more profound, loving, and honorable, distinguished meaning to your life, then those other things will sort themselves out. Those other challenges will sort themselves out. So there's a huge difference between change and transformation. And so what I'm trying to tell you is change happens in cycles anyhow. Change will always happen, and it happens in cycles, usually coming around to a previous version of what it had been. That is a type of change that is cyclical, we call it, okay? Cyclical change. And then there's another kind of change that is progressive change, where it's kind of like climbing a stairs. You can change something and change something and change something and change something. However, that takes a lot of work, and it can always slide back downhill, if you will. So I'm not talking about change when I talk about transformation. And so it's important that you hear the difference. And it's hard to describe transformation without using the word transformation, but it is about systems and circumstances and people becoming more sophisticated and more refined than whatever is challenging them. So your body is doing this all the time. If you don't do anything, your body will become weak and fat and deteriorate. If you challenge your body by going to the gym or walking, working, climbing, those kinds of things, if you challenge your body with stress, that's what lifting weights at the gym or running is. It's causing stress on the body. By challenging the body will transform itself to meet that challenge. So it will become something greater than the challenge. That's why if you lift 10 pounds 50 times for 50 days, it'll seem like a paperweight. It'll be too easy after just a few days, you see. So then you add more challenge, more weight, and what'll happen is that your body will begin to transform itself to not only meet that challenge, but to surpass that challenge. Now, map that metaphor onto the challenges in your everyday life, in your love affairs, in your relationships with your health, with your relationships with your money, relationships with your employees or employer. If all you try to do is get people to change, or you try to change yourself, what is absolutely predictable is that the change you make will become your next challenge. Why? Because the thinking of the person that you are today is incapable of the thinking of who you will be tomorrow, who you will be in the future, let's say. So transformation takes place instantly. Change takes place over time. Change takes time and effort in order to be fulfilled. Transformation can take place in an instant. Change is measurable. It happens in space and time, so therefore you can actually watch change, you can observe change, you can measure change, you can manage change, you can cause change to happen in a predictable fashion. However, it takes a lot of effort and it takes a lot of time, and as I said, for the most part, the changes you make on a personal level, the changes you make on a relationship level, I'm not talking about, okay, let's distinguish between there are things like physical things and then there are beings like human beings, and they are not the same. With things like physical objects, what you want to be is efficient. You want to be efficient with things. Things do not require you having any emotion or feeling or insights or anything like that. Things require that you be efficient. Human beings, if you try to be efficient with human beings, and sometimes, in certain militaristic or disciplinary domains where there is an agreement, like a coach and a coachee, or a disciple, if you will, somebody who has decided to discipline themselves. That's what disciple means. You've decided to discipline yourself, and you've asked a coach or a master to guide you so that you could stay on the path of discipline that you chose. Many people think that the word disciple means subservient or slave or something disempowering. No, a disciple is somebody very powerful who's decided to discipline themselves, and they've had so much discipline that they've actually gone to somebody, a master or a teacher, somebody who can reliably be counted on, to hold them to account and ask them, hold me account, show me how to do this. If I go wrong, put me back on the path, because I don't trust myself. I don't have enough discipline yet. And so a disciple and a teacher is a very honorable relationship. That can cause change in a very predictable way that will ultimately lead to a type of transformation. When you want to transform yourself, when you want to transform a relationship with somebody else, it requires not a step-by-step thing, like I'm here and I'm going to go do this, then I'll do this, then I'll do this, and then I'll be where I want to be. No, transformation is instantaneous. It means that this is where I am and this is where I want to be. There's obviously a gap in space and time. There's a gap in ability. There's a gap in comprehension and understanding. Transformation means that you're able to stand in the future, like the outcome, the end result of where you want to be, and look back in time, look back at your current self, look back at your current situation from a future viewpoint, and make the leap instantly by transforming who you need to be in the moment. Then you will naturally begin to do the things that you need to do, have the things that you need to have, go the places that you need to be, stop doing the things that you need to stop doing, because you are now standing in a future transformed point of view, calling forth the future from the future. Most of us only know, and how else would you know anything else, right? That's all that's ever been taught in all the schools or disciplines that you've ever talked about, is you get to the future by doing a bunch of stuff and then you end up in the future. It's called deductive reasoning. You do this plus this plus this plus this, and it adds up to this over here. I'm talking about inductive reasoning. I'm talking about inducing a future state within oneself that calls forth all of the mental, physical, emotional, spiritual abilities that are already within you. You see, I know that these abilities are already within you. How do I know that? Because you could not imagine them if they were not. When you imagine something, the word image, you create an image in your mind. Where did that image come from? Where did that image come from if not from you? From inside of you. It's not out there. Now, you may see things out there to support that inner image that you had. Right now, I'm looking at new cars, so I imagine the car that I want to have, and then when have you ever done this where you imagine a new car that you want, or a house, or anything, you know, some clothes or anything something that you want, you'd say, oh, I'd really like to have that, and then you begin to see it everywhere. You start, oh, there's one right there, right? Oh, I like that color or whatever. So I'm imagining this new car. I have a picture in my mind of what color it is and what kind it is, and I can imagine myself driving it. So I'm standing in a future, and now it becomes very clear to me as I look back towards my present moment the things that would need to be done in order for that future to be fulfilled. It's very obvious from that point of view. You could do the same thing with your relationships, with your education. I've learned many, many things in my life by standing in the future of having already understood it and grasped it, and then went about finding out the information and learning the things and doing whatever was necessary in order to fulfill that knowledge, which I knew already was within me, was within my grasp. You can do this with relationships, you can do this with your jobs, you can do this with your careers, and you can do this with your spiritual states. I think that what I wanted to bring up with you today is that when I look out in the world and I see people struggling, they're struggling with trying to hold on to their past and bring it forward into the future with them. And that past is weakening them moment by moment by moment. It's like a burden that you don't have to carry into the future. It is good to be informed by the past. It is good to notice what has happened in the past and to note the mistakes that you've made. But more importantly, it's important to note the corrections that you've made so that you don't make those mistakes again. To reinforce those times where you went, oh, I see, up until this moment I have not understood, or I didn't know how, or I was mistaken about something, or I was seeing things all wrong. Now I see newly. That's the part you want to remember. That's the part of the past that's most significant. It's when you had a breakthrough in your thinking, you went, aha, now I understand. That's the part you want to hang on to. The rest of it is just some stuff that led up to it. When you leave to go on a vacation, you got to pack, you got to get in a taxi or a car or something, you got to get to the airport, maybe the traffic's bad, you got to stand in line, you got to go through the security check, you got to do a lot of things. You got to travel on the airplane or train or whatever you're traveling on, you got to get there, get your baggage. There's so much stuff that you have to do to get to your vacation, to get to your desired destination. There's a lot of stuff to do. At the end of it all, what do you remember? What's the most important part? It's the part where you're already there. All the stuff that led up to how you got there is kind of like, well, so what? That's what you had to do to get there. There was no avoiding that. Could you have done it better? Could you have had better seats? Could you have taken an Uber instead of a taxi cab? I don't know. There's a lot of things maybe you could have done better, but you didn't, so it's over. You got to where you needed to go, and that's what's important. What I'm proposing to you is that you put yourself in situations, well, you've already got yourself in situations in your relationships, in your jobs, in your finances, in all aspects of your life. Perhaps you've gotten yourself in situations that were extremely uncomfortable, and situations that tend to repeat themselves. Those are the ones that I want you to watch out for. Like, oh, this relationship is very much like my last relationship, or it has the same kind of things. I run into women all the time who are saying, I just keep having the same kind of experience with guys. They always do the same thing. I tell them, you're doing that. The thing that all those men had in common is that you were there. Every time you were there. When you tell me all the guys are the same, no, you're the same, and you're not learning the lessons that life has offered you. You're not correcting and continuing. You're not on a path of mastery. You're on a path of self-destruction because you keep making the same mistakes over and over, complaining about it. And in the meantime, you get older, uglier, and poorer. You run out of money. You run out of good health. You run out of friends. You run out of time. And it doesn't have to be that way. You can actually increase your wealth, increase your health, increase the time that you have on the earth. You can increase your sphere of influence and do so lovingly, joyfully, purposely, like intending to cause an expansion of your awareness, your consciousness, your love, your joy, your ability. You can intend that. Just like you can intend to go on a vacation, intend to meet someone or go someplace or accomplish something that you have your mind set on, that you have your heart set on, something that you deeply desire, whether it be in the world of relationships or finance or physical well-being or any of those things that you would desire to change or transform in your life. You can put your mind on those things and you can set out to intentionally cause those things to happen in the future. You can stand in that future of it having already arrived there and then look around. What do you see when you've arrived at your ideal weight, when you've arrived at your ideal financial circumstance, when you've arrived at your ideal relationship? What will you be seeing? Really, close your eyes and imagine it. What will you be seeing? Where will you be standing? Where will you live? What kind of clothes will you wear? What will you say to yourself? What will people be saying about you? What will you be hearing in that environment? And how will you be feeling in your body? How will you feel about yourself? How will you feel physically? What will it feel like in your throat when you've arrived at this ideal state? And by simply calling forth those internal states which are already in you. You know, if I say, you could try this, close your eyes and imagine feeling a cool breeze on your left cheek. Most of you could do that. You can imagine feeling a cool breeze on your left cheek. And if I said, close your eyes and imagine feeling peaceful in your heart, feeling your heart and having it breathing in and breathing out, and it just feels peaceful, just feels quiet. Most of you could do that. Now, maybe you can't do it instantly, but if you thought about it for a moment, just said, I now feel peaceful and calm and happy and alive and awake. I feel good. You can call that forth. Most of you are waiting for something or some circumstances or someone to come along and make you feel better, but you have control over how you feel. You actually have the ability to change your state of mind instantly. You just didn't know it and you don't do it. So what does that mean in terms of your relationships? What does that mean in terms of mastering your life? Well, it means that maybe your fixation on what you imagine would be the perfect thing is actually getting in the way of something that's already there, that's already perfect. Remember, I said earlier that the you who you are today, right now at this moment, cannot imagine or see or think or find solutions to problems with the mind of who you are going to be in the future. You're just not there yet. You can imagine being there because, in fact, that is a very quick access. Now, you might think that I'm kidding when I'm saying imagine. What I know about your brain and mine, about the human brain, those of us who speak and use language, if you're watching a television, you've already imagined quite a bit of things in order to put you in those circumstances. If you're listening to my voice, it's because you have already managed a number of things in your life, like having enough food, having enough clothing, having a house to live in, having electricity, having a television in the first place, or some kind of mobile device or something that you're watching this recording on. Either you're watching me live or you could be watching me 50 years from now on a digital device. The fact that you have done that and that you're able to do that now means that you've already handled some very fundamental things in your life that some people have not. So if you've handled those things, if you've managed to put yourself in that position, you have done so through imaging, internal imaging, imagining images and words. That's how your brain stores and sorts reality. through images, words, and feelings. You have images, you have thoughts about them, you have some feelings about those thoughts, and you take certain actions that are a correlate with those inner images and the outer world. Those actions bridge the gap between the inner world and the outer world. Sometimes it's simply words. Sometimes it's a written word. But you do something from the moment you have an internal image, that image comes up and has words with it. You assign words to it, and then those, you have feelings about those. So when the images and the words are driven by feeling and emotion and they take action out in the world, you have now changed the world. You've thrown a stone into the pond of reality, and it has ripples that go out to infinity, even beyond your own lifetime. Whether it's a small pebble or a big stone, or whether you throw a house into the pond, it causes ripple effects in the fabric, space, and time of reality that goes out and touches other human beings. They're all doing that too. And then we have an interference, a reality interference that we share and that we all agree upon. This is what's happening. This is the physical world that we're living in. This is the physical, mental, spiritual, emotional, psychic world that we are affecting through our thoughts, feelings, actions, words, and how we store it and sort it is through images and words. What you say about yourself, what you say about the future, what you imagine about the future, and the actions that you take in correlation to the future that you both imagine and speak into existence are very, very, very powerful. That's how you got where you are right now. That's how you got the table you're sitting at, the electronic device you're watching this on or listening to. That's how you got the clothes that you're wearing, and that's how you even got the body that you're experiencing all that in. Now, I realize that may be a little bit of a maybe an advanced conversation for some people, but you are creating the reality. You are living in the reality that you created in the past. You are living the current reality that you created in the past through your thoughts, images, feelings, and actions. The actions you've taken have produced effects and result in the world, and it's resulted in where you are right now, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually.
A man of character, responsibility, and resourcefulness. Become that man and join us on the journey towards manhood, finding a better person within. Embrace Growth is offering the Honor, Integrity, and Mastery Workshop in Toronto, Yerevan, and Los Angeles. Sign up today at embracegrowth.com and see the transformation in your life.
در کارگاه‌های آموزشی بانوان به رهبری دکتر آزیتا سایان با دستیابی به اهمیت و ارزش واقعی خود، قدرت زنانگی و آرامش خود را بازیابید. محیطی مناسب و هیجان انگیز برای رشد و شکوفایی عشق، ازدواج و خانواده خلق کنید. زنی شاد باشید، قلب مردان را بشناسید و آنها را درک کنید. کارگاه آموزشی بانوان، اروپا، 20 تا 22 آپریل. برای ثبت نام با تخفیف ویژه پاییزی با شماره 310 460 2600 تماس بگیرید.
Welcome back to Love Talk. I'm Gregory Morgan. I'm the co-founder of Embrace Growth, along with my wife, Dr. Azita Sayan. Together we do seminars and workshops in London, Dubai, Toronto, Hamburg, Los Angeles. Seminars, and the workshops are about men and women in relationships. If you've never heard of our workshops, I highly recommend that you go find out about them at embracegrowth.com. You can also find out more by calling our office, and that number is at the bottom of your screen along with the website. We have a wonderful staff who can tell you anything you want to know about our workshops, where they are, and you can always find the schedule of workshops online. You can also join a VIP list that we have, in which you'll be notified of the new events, new products. I'd like to tell you a little bit about a brand new product that I came out with recently called the 12 Stages of Romantic Relationship in Farsi. Now, I came out with the 12 Stages of Romantic Relationship several years ago, and you know, we've sold thousands of them. People from all over the world have written to me and said that they've listened to them over and over, that each time they get something new from them. I highly recommend them, not because I did them, but I did them because I would recommend that people know this information. If you are embarking on any kind of relationship that has the potential of becoming a romantic relationship, you are stepping into uncharted territory. You're stepping into an unknown area, unknown by you. You may think that you know what to expect. However, it will change you, and romantic relationships will change you. I think that's part of their attraction, yes. We all want to experience well, I'm going to assume I'm going to take the high road and assume that people want to experience a more profound relationship with themselves. They want to experience being intimately connected with another. They want to experience and have access to the incredible high of the erotic ecstasy, for one thing, but the spiritual ecstasy of truly experience being loved and accepted for who you are, and loving and accepting another, having a partner in your life, having a witness that will be with you through the changes that you experience in life, and you can witness the changes and transformations that go on in theirs, and you can teach and learn and love from each other. Now, that's a big assumption I just said. I'm assuming that when you pursue a romantic relationship, that you surely wouldn't just want the hot sex part of it, throw away the real value, the real true spiritual growth available. I'm assuming that if you did throw that away, you wouldn't have any idea what you just missed out on, and that the sorrow and the sadness and the pain that comes from the breakup of a romantic relationship, I know that that pain is related to a loss of opportunity, a loss of something that could have been life-changing, life-transforming, and our humanity gets in the way. So the 12 stages of romantic relationship is to assist you, it's to guide you, it's to help you to understand that there are certain stages that if you do not go through them and you try to jump to the next stage, you're going to get in trouble, and you're going to end up going back at least 2 more stages to where you were before. And for most of us, that's back to being single and looking for a date. Let's go ahead and take this phone call. Hello, this is Gregory. You are live on the air with Love Talk.
Hello, Dr. Morgan. I appreciate your program.
Thank you.
And I have a question about that you talk about the mind, and what is nice, what I learned a lot of. I have problem with my son about the shoplifting. Is this psychological problem, and how I can deal with that? I appreciate you because you spoke about the mind and how we go back, come. I appreciate you if tell me that how I can deal with him. Oh,
yeah.
I am looking for the TV.
Well, I got to ask you some questions. How old is your son?
He's 35.
Okay, your son is a full-grown man.
Yeah.
Does he doesn't live? I hope he doesn't live in your house.
No, separate. He lives, but I know that he has some problem.
Well, does he have a wife and kids?
No.
So he's a single 35-year-old man.
Right.
You know that he has some problems, and he's he's obsessed. What you say he's shoplifting?
He's going to
say some more about
buying
that.
Something. He is not paying the money, and I tell him why you are doing, and he said I'm very happy when I do after that. I told him that you should be careful about the law and morality, but I'm not listening. What I can deal with him?
Well, here's the thing. I know that as a father, I respect that you are concerned with him.
Yeah.
And I know that I assume that you have guided him to be something other than a shoplifter. I'm sure you've taught him certain values about honesty and integrity.
Right.
And there's also the concern about him getting trouble with the law. Obviously, it's against the law, so he could get. What country are you in?
I am from Iran.
I know, but your son who's doing the shoplifting, is he in Iran?
No, here.
I know you're from Iran, but I mean, are you in America, Canada, England?
In America.
You're in America, okay. Well, in America, they'll probably slap you on the hand and put you in jail for a night and make you pay a fine and things like that, right? For shoplifting.
When he was first doing it, they did it, but he's continuing. What shall I do about that?
Well, here's the thing, and you're not going to like my answer. Nothing. There's nothing for you to do about it. You are a full-grown man, and he is a full-grown man.
Is this psychological problem?
It's not your problem, though, is it?
Yeah.
It's not your problem.
Yeah.
It's his problem.
I'm 80 years old.
You're 80 years old. You got other problems.
Yeah.
Okay, you should be taking care of your problems. And this full-grown man who's had a good father who raised him and taught him the right thing to do, he should deal with his own problem. You see, he should be calling me saying, I'm obsessed with shoplifting. I don't know why I do it. How can I get some help?
Sir, yeah.
Yeah, but he's not doing that. You're doing that.
Exactly same thing that you mentioned, telling me.
Yeah, he needs to get some help or he needs to get arrested.
Oh, but is that psychological problem?
Yeah, it is. It's a psychological problem, but there's nothing you can do about it. You're not a licensed therapist. You're not equipped to do anything about this. You're a father, and you have done everything you could do. Give yourself a break. It's not your... Here's what you should do about it. Tell him, I hope you work this out. I hope you get some help. And, you know, I'm not going to trouble myself with your weird psychological issue.
Do you think that I should introduce him to the psychiatrist?
If he's interested. A psychiatrist is somebody who prescribes medication.
Oh, I have a telephone number at your office.
Yeah, we're transactional and psychotherapists, and I'm a hypnotherapist. I deal with things in a totally different way. I don't adhere to medicine, and I certainly don't think any kind of medicine could handle shoplifting. Shoplifting is a kind of obsession. It is really, it's an addiction to adrenaline on a very physical level. Yeah. Some people are addicted to skateboarding or whatever, you know, something that's dangerous that they get away with, right? Yeah. It's an addiction to, you know, almost getting caught. So the more he almost gets caught, he gets a boost of adrenaline from that. There's lots of other ways to get adrenaline without doing something illegal that could get you in jail. There's lots of legal things you could do that don't hurt anyone. Pardon me?
It's very useful for the people here.
Thank you. That's my deepest desire, is to be useful and to have people, to make a difference in people's lives.
Exactly. You are doing a wonderful job.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I appreciate you watching my show. I'm honored that a man, 80-year-old man is watching my show. It really means a lot to me. Thank you.
So people watching your show. Oh, here in New Jersey, a lot of Iranians watching your show.
Is that right? That's great. It's good to know. Well, I wish they'd call me and ask me questions like you were doing, and I wish I could help you more. But as an 80-year-old man, really honor yourself. Let yourself know you got your job done. You haven't made him be this way. He's this way on his own choice. Okay?
Okay.
He's an adult. He's had plenty of chance to evaluate his life and what's valuable. What he's doing, I don't agree with, and neither do you, and most people wouldn't, but it's a very childish thing that he needs to grow up. There's a part of him that's not mature yet that is acting out in this way.
Thank you.
Yeah, but it's not your problem. You didn't do anything wrong. You got your job done. You taught him how to be a good man. And now just tell him, hey, go deal with your own problem. It's not my problem. I'm not going to handle it or worry about it. And if you get caught and go to jail, don't call me.
Oh, thank you very much.
All right?
Okay, thank you. And say hello to your wife.
Thank you very much. I will. Thank you. Good day. I think it's wonderful in many ways how Iranian parents, well, not just Iranian parents, I'm sure this is true for parents all over the world. Once your children become adults, you still think of them as children, but they're not. They're simply not children anymore. Think of yourself at that age. You know, if you have a 30 or 40-year-old son or daughter who's acting childish, and you have spent the better part of your life and your youth teaching them how to be a good person, teaching them right from wrong, teaching them how to have good judgment, I would hope that you would release them and say, you're an adult now and you're free to go make your own mistakes and pay for the mistakes you make, just like I did. I'm going to go ahead and take this call. Hello, this is Gregory, and you are live on the air.
Hi, Gregory. How are you, sir?
I'm excellent, thank you. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Los Angeles.
Great. Well, it's great to speak with you. What can I do with you?
Do you deal with the quitting cigarette?
Yes.
You know, like how can I quit cigarette?
You want to quit cigarettes?
Yeah.
Do you really want to quit cigarettes?
Well, it is damaging me, obviously,
Yeah?
but, you know, like, I cannot, I'm smoking for so long time. At the meantime, I'm doing exercise, I'm trying to live healthy. You know, like, recently, in last couple of years,
Yes.
increasing my smoking, even in night time.
Right? Well, you waking up at night and having a cigarette?
Smoking.
Smoking,
I smoke 1 pack a day, and
Okay.
I know that I have to quit because it is damaging my vision. It has done so severely,
Yes.
damaged my eyes.
Yes. So here's the thing. Yes, I do deal with getting rid of or stopping doing unwanted behaviors. You cannot stop a behavior that you don't want to stop. There's kind of a flipping point here. You see, you have to really want to stop, and you have to decide to stop. Of course, it would be easy to say, then you just stop, right? But obviously, there's the chemical dependency that you have on nicotine, and that has to be addressed and dealt with because it's a physical, almost painful when you don't have a dose of nicotine, right? And then there's the habit, you know, the thing that you do with your hands and your mouth.
Right.
That's a physical habit. It's ingrained in you. Just like tying your shoe or brushing your teeth or driving your car, it's a physical thing that your body does pretty much by itself. I'm sure at your age and at as many smokes, you probably sometimes find yourself with a lit cigarette in your hand without even remember taking it out of the pack, lighting it, or anything, right?
Right. Sometimes.
Yeah, your body just does it by itself. You don't even have to be there anymore.
But, you know, like automatically by the habit, I just take one and light it up.
That's what I'm talking about. You don't even, there's no you present. In other words, there's no you like a conscious, sentient being required to smoke that cigarette. It's almost like a machine, right? You could be driving along thinking of something else, and your hands will get a cigarette and light it and roll down the window and do the whole thing without you even thinking about it. You don't have to do anything. It just does it by itself, right?
Right.
It's an automatic. So what I'm pointing to is that there's the chemical part of it, but there's also the neurological programming, which is a huge part of it. I don't want to try to put percentages on it or something like that, but I would say that the physical part of it is triggered by the chemical part, and sometimes it's triggered by a thought. You'll see somebody else smoking, or you'll see a pack of cigarettes on a sign, or anything like that can trigger this response in your brain, and then you will just automatically go into this behavior called smoking. And then you may have some thoughts like, oh, this is killing me and I wish I could stop, but those are very weak by comparison to this automatic programming that is going on. So with neurological programming, what I do with hypnotherapy and neuro-linguistic programming, that's what it's about, NLP is reprogramming or repatterning, is we break up the pattern so that it's even hard for you to remember to do that. And so it will start to feel awkward for you to get a cigarette. It'll feel strange, like, what am I doing, sort of thing. It'll be an unnatural thing, whereas right now you do it without thinking. If I told you, are you right-handed or left-handed?
Right.
Okay, if I told you to start writing only with your left hand for 1 week, you would have a struggle with it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd say, I can't do this, and you would keep wanting to go back to the right, but you'd remember that you had to do it with your left, so you keep doing it. So, if I tied your right hand to your side and you couldn't, and you had to write things, you had to write everything down, you would pretty soon begin to learn how to write with your left hand, even though it might not be as good. You would develop, in other words, a neurological pattern. Writing is a neurological pattern. Your brain is telling your body what to do, and it does it automatically. Driving a car, brushing your teeth, tying your shoes, buttoning a button. All of these your body does by itself. If you were a piano player, your fingers just play by themselves. It's programmed into your body. So your smoking is a very deeply ingrained neurological pattern. So you asked me, do I help people with smoking? Yes. It's a neurological pattern that can be interrupted, it can be broken, and we program in a new, more enlivening, more empowering pattern that replaces that. You can't just take a pattern away. You have to replace it with something. We've learned this over time. You can't just take away smoking. You have to give it back you have to give you back something else to do with your hands and your mouth.
The procedure, doctor, there is a certain procedure, or how many times I have to go through?
Listen, some people can do it in 2 or 3 sessions, and this is where the very first part of our conversation, I said it's really important. The most important part is that you want to. Your desire to stop smoking has to be strong enough that if I tell you, I want you to go right now in your house and throw out every match, every ashtray, every cigarette lighter, every cigarette, and get them completely out of your house, and then go through your house and everything that smells like smoke, get rid of it and take it away, wash it, take it to the cleaners, do something to get rid of all of the smoke smell in your house, take it away from your car, and then tell all of your friends, call all of your friends saying, I've stopped smoking right now, okay? And I don't want you to smoke around me. I don't want to see smoke. I don't want to smell it. I don't want you to be around. I don't want to be around it at all. And then you stop going to places where people smoke. Then I would kind of know that you were committed to what you're telling me, you see?
Right.
If you were able to do all of that, then I would go, okay, you're pretty serious about this. Then the next thing would be to make an appointment with, listen, myself or another hypnotherapist, if you felt more comfortable, that can take you. There are definitely programs for hypnotherapy programs, I'm being specific, about smoking cessation that are very effective. And yes, it does work. And yes, you do have to go back sometimes to get that programming freshened up, because this is something you've been doing how many years? More than a decade?
35 years.
Yeah. So 35 years. When you walk through the forest or you walk through a field and you see a trail where some animal has already made a path on the grass or something, because that's how they get to the water or that's how they travel. It would be like trying to tell that deer or rabbit or whoever made that path, go some other way. The habit is to go the way that you're used to going. So it's a sort of habit. If you've driven the same way to work every day for 30 years, and then they took that road away and you had to go through some other route, you know, at first you would want to keep turning on that street and going on that road. Yes?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so sometimes you have to come back to hypnotherapy maybe a week or 2 later or a month later and say, you know, I've been finding myself wanting to smoke again, and I found myself wanting to do those things that I used to do again, and so we do some more work to reaffirm and reprogram new habits and new ways of being. One of the things that is very effective is it's not that you don't want to stop smoking. That's true, but stopping smoking is not nearly as powerful as programming in the idea of being a fresh air breather. Yeah, I love breathing fresh air. I love the feeling in my lungs feeling full of fresh, clean air. And when you begin to embrace that feeling rather than I don't want to smoke, which is a push away type of thing, instead at Embrace Growth, I thought, what is it that you would like to embrace? I would like to embrace a healthy lifestyle. I would like to embrace having my lungs full of clean air and my skin be clear and my eyes being clear, right?
Right.
That's so you move towards the things that the discipline that I practice at Embrace Growth is to have you move towards those things that you want, which will naturally take you away from the things that you don't want, rather than say, push those things you don't want away. That's a lot of work. And what I've noticed is when people push away the things they don't want, what happens is once those things are away, they're no longer motivated, so they go back to them. They actually need something to push on. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, but whereas if you keep embracing what you want, you can go that way infinitely. You can go towards the positive in an unending and infinite way to be motivated towards your higher good, and it never runs out. And you naturally move away from the things that you don't want anyhow because you're moving towards the things you want. A lot of people say, oh, I don't want to be broke anymore, or I don't want to be fat anymore, or I don't want to be out, you know, I want to lose weight, or I want to stop smoking. Those kinds of things are what I call go away from phenomena. You're pushing away from something.
No, I'm fit enough, body-wise.
Good. Yeah, well, you could even be more fit, right? Obviously, if you've been smoking 35 years and you're still alive, you must be in pretty good shape.
But, you know, like my lung I feel that it is getting problem, and I need more oxygen than regular non-smoking people.
Yeah, I would imagine. I mean, can you imagine going hiking?
Right.
Can you imagine going up to you know, some beautiful mountain range where it's 8,000 or 10,000 feet up and taking a walk?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I did. Not now, a couple of years. I went, let's say, 16,000 to the mountain.
Yeah.
And my heart was beating like it was almost stopping.
Yeah. Yeah, not much oxygen up there. I know, I've had that experience. I mean, even if you're a non-smoker, you get to 16,000 feet. You need the oxygen's very thin up there. It's not uncommon to get altitude sickness.
Yeah, the beating was so enormous and so like a motor.
I know. I went up to 15,000 feet on my motorcycle with a couple of my buddies who were about 20 years younger than me, 15 or 20 years younger than me. And when we got up there, I was having a hard time walking around and just I had to carefully place my feet where I was walking, and I felt kind of dizzy, right?
Right.
And they pulled out some cigars and said, let's run up to the top of those rocks and smoke these cigars. I'm like, are you out of your mind? You know, first of all, I'm never making it to the top of those rocks. And
I've seen friends that, you know, you see, even though I'm smoking, when I go to, let's say, to the beach, walking, I have some of my friends, a little bit of walking, he said, okay, let's sit down and smoke. I said, listen, I came here for a couple hours at least to stay away from cigarettes. So cigarette, I never take cigarette out with me. And, you know, whenever I'm home, I'm smoking. But, you know, like, so...
So you don't stop and smoke at the beach. You want to walk. You want to go someplace and do something. Get some.
I want to give me a break, like, let's say for a few hours, and my lung can breathe and rest.
Well, it sounds like you're moving in the direction of being healthy and being healthier.
We'll give a shot and
you know, I will call. Very often, do you live alone?
I do.
Well, very often smoking serves as like company.
Sure.
It's something to do, isn't it? It's like you're alone, there's no one to talk to, but you can have a smoke and sort of a something to do.
Right.
Yeah, right. I'm familiar with this, and you know, as I've said before, I like to smoke cigars from time to time, and I noticed that sometimes I like to smoke cigars when nobody's around, there's nothing to do. I'm at home relaxing. Maybe my wife's been out of town for a week or two, and so I'll go have a cigar, kind of like something to do, like to occupy an hour of my time, and I enjoy it, and that's it on that. But I mean, it's not a good habit. I'm sure there's more healthy things I could be doing to take care of myself instead of, you know, maybe go hiking or something instead. But so I understand. So you might also need to, aside from getting away from the smoking and throwing all those things out of your house and making a decision and getting some hypnotherapy sessions to assist you, you may also need to find some other activities that you could do in those times, because those certain circumstances trigger the neurological pattern called light a cigarette, smoke it. It's a trigger, right?
Right.
It's just like on your on your computer program, if you had a virus in your program that every time you hit a certain key on your keyboard, A, for example, the screen would do some weird thing, right?
Right.
Every time you get in a certain circumstance, your internal programming has you light a cigarette. It's kind of automatic. So you have to deprogram that. It's just like a computer expert would come in and get the virus out of your computer. A hypnotherapist comes in and locates that part of your subconsciousness that has those triggers and erases that so that it can't do that anymore. Then when you have that trigger, it just makes an A instead of making, if you hit the A key, it doesn't do the virus thing, it just makes an A on the screen. Yeah?
Very much.
Well, I hope that helped. Yeah, you can call the office and set up a session if you want, but thank you for watching the show. Thank you for calling. I hope this made a difference with you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. My shows are always in English. I have the honor of being the only ongoing English show for the last 10 or 12 years now in the Iranian community. So it's been an honor to be a part of your community, and our workshops and seminars are mostly in Farsi now, so consequently I'm leading fewer and fewer of these events, and my wife is leading more and more of them. And so if you would like to have events in English, if you'd like to have seminars, workshops, therapy sessions, radio shows, TV shows, and products, books, CDs, and DVDs in English, please let us know. In the last few years, we've been producing mostly Farsi things, and I would like to expand our English-speaking audience. And I know that many of you, well, obviously, if you're watching this show, you must be speaking English or understanding English. So I appreciate you watching my show. It's very meaningful to me that you do that. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you today. We spoke about the difference between change and transformation. You know, I made the point that change is progressive, takes effort, and takes time to produce, and that change is cyclical, meaning it happens in a cycle, and that it usually changes back into whatever it was to begin with, or some other better or different form of what it used to be. So change happens in cycles, transformation is instantaneous, and it does not go back to what it used to be. Transformation, once something is transformed, it cannot go back to how it used to be. The example I've given many times is a diamond is a piece of carbon that has been through intense heat and pressure until all of the impurities of the carbon have been squeezed and heated out of it. It is the same carbon as a tree, as a plant, tree that fell maybe into a bog or a swamp a million years ago and then was covered over and pressurized and heated by the weight and the pressure of the earth for a protracted and long period of time, and then when it's exposed to the surface again through various geological changes, we find that that tree, that carbon, has been pressed and formed into a more sophisticated, a more refined, a more purified form that contains all of the same elements and can never go back to being a tree. A tree can become a diamond through a lot of pressure and heat and time if the right circumstances, but a diamond cannot become a tree. Okay? And so that's my point about transformation. When you undertake the process of transformation, which is what we're about at Embrace Growth, we're able to produce the conditions that reliably cause transformation in human beings. I say reliably because we've done it over and over and over and over and over and over with thousands and thousands and thousands of people that we've caused through various processes, inquiries, and circumstances. We've reliably been able to cause a transformation in which a person becomes a more refined, a more distinguished, a more sophisticated, a more purified, if you will. Not that they're impure or something like that. Please don't hear me on some kind of moralistic or religious ridiculousness. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about those things which have attached themselves to you and I, which are not really you and they're not really I. Those toxic behaviors and ways of thinking and behaving fall away, and what's left is the trueness of a human being, the trueness of a person who sees clearly, who has their own wisdom, who has their own direction, who has their own purpose in life, who has access to their own love, to their own intelligence and their own ability to make decisions for themselves, and when they make mistakes, to clean that up, to correct and continue, to correct their misdoings. It doesn't mean that you never do anything wrong again. It doesn't mean that you don't screw up or do stupid things. No, you don't stop being human and start becoming some perfect android or something. No, people make mistakes. They're still human, but they become a more real and authentic version of who they've always been. You know, my teacher said, I used to be different, now I'm the same. I used to be different than I am now. Now I'm the same as I am now. I'm who I really am now. The workshops that we do is to have you arrive at a place where you're true to yourself and where your place in life, your purpose in life becomes clear to you. And it's extremely empowering. It's a joyful and enlightening experience. And so no wonder people always want to go share it with them, with their family and friends. We take statistics of where our students come from. And 85% of all of our students have reported that they learned about our workshops from families and friends. So we hardly advertise. We talk about it on the shows like this. Nobody takes action on that advertising, from as best I could tell. About 12% of the people that have seen us on TV, radio, all those things, they take some kind of action and end up at a workshop. But 85% of them have come from people who had such a profound experience that they went and told their family and friends about it, and that's how everybody ends up over there. So I invite you to find out about Embrace Growth in the workshops. I hope to see you at one of them. Thank you for watching my show. This is Gregory Morgan, and you've been watching Love Talk.
The Embrace Growth app is finally here. You start by signing in just as you would online, and from there, you'll see all of your account settings. Once in the app, you'll have access to events and all of Embrace Growth's original content. Registering for workshops and seminars is easier than ever, and tools for managing your profile and options are built right in. Schedule private sessions and connect with the global Embrace Growth community. Download it today on the App Store. A man of character, responsibility, and resourcefulness. Become that man and join us on the journey towards manhood, finding a better person within. Embrace Growth is offering the Honor, Integrity, and Mastery Workshop in Toronto, Yerevan, and Los Angeles. Sign up today at embracegrowth.com and see the transformation in your life. Embrace Growth has a new home online where you can easily register for workshops and events, order from the online store, and be part of the worldwide community of Embrace Growth graduates. You'll be able to see Dr. Azita Sayan and Mr. Gregory Morgan in your favorite seminars. Visit us today at embracegrowth.com.
در کارگاه‌های آموزشی بانوان به رهبری دکتر آزیتا سایان با دستیابی به اهمیت و ارزش واقعی خود، قدرت زنانگی و آرامش خود را بازیابید. محیطی مناسب و هیجان انگیز برای رشد و شکوفایی عشق، ازدواج و خانواده خلق کنید. زنی شاد باشید، قلب مردان را بشناسید و آنها را درک کنید. کارگاه آموزشی بانوان اروپا 20 تا 22 آپریل. برای ثبت نام با تخفیف ویژه پاییزی با شماره 310 460 2600 تماس بگیرید.
Welcome to the Embrace Growth app. There's a new way to communicate and join in. Create your free account online and sign into the app. Manage your profile on the go and choose between English or Farsi. Register for events and schedule appointments more easily than ever. Stream audio, video, and download books all over Wi-Fi or cellular. Sign up for workshops and seminars right on your phone, and access your audio and video library in the palm of your hand. Take your favorite lessons from Dr. Azita Sayan and Mr. Gregory Morgan with you. Download it today on the App Store.
برنامه دنیای عشق با دکتر آزیتا ساعیان، برنامه‌ای که تمامی سوالهای شما را جواب می‌دهد. ازدواج، عشق، سکس، همجنسگرایی، فرزندان، والدین، خیانت. از یوتیوب لایو، لایو استریم، فیسبوک و اینستاگرام لایو. سه‌شنبه ها و پنجشنبه ها 10 شب به وقت ایران و 10:30 صبح به وقت لس آنجلس. تلفن تماس با استودیو 818 532 66 55.